Okay, first things first. You want to make sure you have your pattern, your fabric piece for section number 1, your fabric piece for section number 2. 1, 2. You want to put right sides together of piece 1 and piece 2. 1 on top, 2 on the bottom. Right sides together, line up the edges, line up the corners. They should be both the same size. And set those here. Take your pattern, right side up, you can see all the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, right side down. We want to line up this section 1 on top of the fabric, okay? So again, section 1, paper, right side down on top of fabric number 1, which has wrong side up. Fabric number 2, which has wrong side down. So you see how that fills that space in there? That's what we want. Move the line between move the pattern so that the line between 1 and 2 is approximately 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of your fabric. This is going to be your seam allowance. Be careful on this edge and this edge. You still need 1/4 of an inch seam allowance on these lines because these are going to eventually be sewing lines. So I'm going to scooch that over just a little bit so you can see. Had it here, mistake. Had it here, correct. 1/4 of an inch approximately 1/4 of an inch, and hang over, so definitely 1/4 of an inch. Go ahead and pin that in place. Try and pin it so that your fabric stays laying flat. This is going to help you feed this through the machine easier when the time comes. Next step, sewing. Bear with me while I move the camera here. I want to make sure you guys get the right angle. Do what I can at least for you. Working by myself. I don't know how clear that's going to be. I couldn't zoom. You pick this up with the fabric down on the machine and the paper up. You line up so that the needle is going to puncture this point right here. This is your starting point. It's going to start right where all these lines intersect, and I'm going to sew straight down this line to the end, right where this line ends. Alright? So I'm going to line that up, set my presser foot down so it doesn't move before I go any further. Make sure you set the size of your stitch. My machine automatically starts at 2.5 for tracing paper. I move it down to 2.0. For regular printer paper, I move it down to 1.5. I want a smaller stitch so that when I tear away this paper, it doesn't also tug my stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and needle down and make sure it's in the right spot, and we are. Maybe I can show you if I lift the presser foot. I don't know if you can get a good angle in there. I'm going to do that, and now I'm going to start sewing. And you can go as fast or as slow as you need to go. And I'm just going to go ahead and sew straight down the line. Trying to keep my hands out of the way for you. Alright, I'm getting to the end here. I'm right on the line. I like to do 1 or 2 quick back stitches. Cut it, pull it out. The back stitch is simple. I just want to keep from getting it pulled if I don't have to. So now, get down here. Zoom. I'm going to take my pins out. I don't like hanging threads. You can let them hang. I find them annoying, so I just, as a matter of process, fix those. And this is what I've got. 1 sewn line. And actually you can probably see, if I hold this a little bit closer, you can probably see that I didn't quite get on the line there. I'm just next to it, close to it. I'm not going to take the stitching out for that. It's close enough. It's a relatively straight line. I don't care. So just go ahead and flip this open. Pull this. Just give it a good finger press open. And turn this back over again. Now comes the trimming.